Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Myra.
My camera's not working right.
Uh-oh. Can you can you find the show video?
Yeah, I have my hand on the camera, but um, hold on.
Um,
It said to start my video. I'm trying to.
yeah, start video. We'll turn it on from the Zoom side. You may be having problems with the actual camera. Is it on a laptop or is it a separate camera?
It's a separate.
Okay.
It's. I'm using my Samsung 7 today.
Okay. Oh,
Is it on
well,
now?
it
It's
flicked on.
flickering.
There it is. Now it is. There you go. Oops. It's kind of flicking on and off on you. It came on and then went back off again. Now it's back on. There you go. Hey, Kathy, you there? If you are,
I am, but I'm having trouble when if I unmute myself, then I lose the picture.
Huh.
So I probably have to rejoin the class, so I probably won't say much. But
Okay.
hi.
All right, that's fine. As long as you can unmute and I can hear you. If you if you
Okay.
need to stay muted most of the class, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. It's going to be a small class today. There may be a few more people joining us, but that's actually, it'll be nice. This is a class that usually has lots of comments and questions, so that way you'll have plenty of time to get your questions answered, and we kind of tailor the class to what you're looking for as well. Since I'm going to go ahead and get started getting my housekeeping things out of the way, and we'll give other people another couple of minutes to get into the class. I'm going to share my screen first. All right, so you should be able to see my screen over there now. And I'm moving your pictures over to my other monitor so I can see you over there. And I probably will just leave everyone unmuted since it's going to be a small class. But if we do start picking up background noise, I'll just mute everyone. So do check to make sure you're unmuted before you ask a question or make a comment, just to make sure I can hear you. All right, we got that set up. And I have opened the chat as well.
Mia, it's 10:05.
So if you're having, if you do have any trouble with your microphone or just need to reach me via the chat, that is now open as well. But if your mic is working, just go ahead and ask out loud. That way everybody else will hear your questions and I'll hear them and respond on a timely basis as well. John from our Get Set Up TA group is here for the first few minutes of the class. If you're having any technical problems or any other issues, you can reach John via the chat. Thanks for helping us out, John. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, there's a good chance we'll have a couple more people join us, but got a lot to cover today, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. So this is use LinkedIn to grow your network and find a job. This is the second in the LinkedIn series. The other one is use LinkedIn to build your profile. And they're really just a series. You don't really have to take the profile class before this class, but we basically, instead of being a basic and intermediate kind of scenario, we just took the content and divided it into two classes. So there may be some questions that come up that I'll reference to the other class and say we cover that in the other class. However, I will say that if you don't have a good profile, everything else is kind of useless because everything does hedge on the profile. So if you have some questions or concerns about your profile, you may want to take that other class as well, because we're not going to get into any profile building in this class. All right. So I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoy the class. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I will be the guide for the class this morning. Briefly about myself, my background, I was born and raised in a small town called Mason, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Went to Mississippi State for my undergraduate degree in psychology, and then went up to West Virginia University for my graduate work. And I've taught psychology off and on throughout my career, but most of my working career was designing, installing, and training users on hospital information systems. So I've done a lot of adult training along the way. And what I like about teaching at Get Set Up is that I get to teach people that are in the class because they're interested in the content and not because their employer made them take the class. And that's what we do try to accomplish at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can take classes you're interested in, along with other people interested in the same topics. So you can hear their questions, interact with the other people in the class, as well as asking your own questions. So hopefully that is what you're enjoying about our classes. The session is being recorded, and anyone that takes the class can request a copy of that recording. Just send an email to help@getsetup.io. And looks like John has put that in the chat. So if you don't have that email already in your email contacts, go ahead and copy that out of the chat so you've got it. At the end of class and the closing slides, we'll talk about some other ways you may want to use that email address. We're also live streaming the class today, so we do want to welcome anyone joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining, and we hope you enjoy the class as well. But do want to remind you that the only way to get that full Get Set Up experience where you can interact with the other learners and ask questions of the guide is to go to our website and register for the class. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any of the products we train on. We are purely trainers. Well, let's look at the agenda for today. So what we're going to do is to talk about first how to build and manage your LinkedIn network. That's a critical part of LinkedIn. Then we'll talk about how to search for jobs and manage your job search. And finally, how you can kind of put those two together to use your network to help you qualify jobs and get offers. So I'm going to switch over to LinkedIn. Any questions? And again, any questions at any time, please just unmute and ask your questions. We got a small group, so we'll make it very informal. So feel free to unmute and comment at any time. So this is the LinkedIn, and we're starting at the home page for this class. It's where you go to begin with, but we're gonna spend. Let me have to just click over to another page here. Okay. And just very quickly, well, the main places we're going to be working today is in the home page, the My Network page, and the Jobs page. So these are the links to those three pages. This is the profile, which we spend most of our time in the other class in the profile. And very quickly about the home page, we'll come back here a little later, depending on how much time we have at the end of class. But the home page is sort of like your Facebook news feed. This is where you can get posts from people in your network, organizations you follow, very much like with Facebook or LinkedIn, other social media. But we're going to come back to here because this is kind of the last step in the process. First thing we want to talk about is building your network. So let's go to this network tab. And at the top, there'll be invitations that you have gotten from people that want to join your network. And you can see the invitations here. And if you want to accept that invitation, you can accept it. If you don't want to accept the invitation, you can ignore it. If you accept it, they will now become part of your network. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but you'll notice, let me go back over here. I meant to mention this when I was over here. When you, beside each person's name, there'll be a number. It'll be first, second, or third. And this has to do with what level within your network they are. People that are in your direct network are first level connections. You've asked, one of you has asked the other one to be in their network and they've agreed. If it's a second, that means that's someone that's in your first level contacts network. And then a third is people that are in your second level networks contacts. So it's, you can build a very large network of people, but this helps you know where they fall in that. Is it someone that's in your network that you've invited to be part of your network? Or is it asked to be in your network and you've agreed? Or is it, in Facebook terms, is it a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend? Questions about that? Hi, Roku. Welcome. We're just getting started. So again, if I accept this invitation, Tammy would become part of my first level network. And there's some differences, I think, between friends and Facebook and people in your network and LinkedIn. At least I treat them differently. I pretty much accept almost any invitations in my LinkedIn network because it's not really a personal social kind of thing. You're not sharing your information about what you're doing and who your family are. It's very much business related. So from my perspective, the larger your network, the better. In LinkedIn. Now on Facebook, I'm very selective about who I am friends with because I don't want to see information about strangers in my feed. So I treat them very differently. And I don't know, any questions or comments from other people in terms of whether they do the same thing or do it differently? I said I accept almost every invitation. Now, what I have had is I've had invitations to join my network from people that I can look at it and tell they're trying to sell me something. Their insurance, or they do some other type of business. And after a while, you can kind of feel them out that they're really trying to find a client, not just wanting to be part of your network. So those people, I usually don't accept their invitations. Let's go up from here. If there's no questions about these invitations, I haven't had a chance to look at this one yet, so I'm not sure if I'm going to accept it or not. So I'll look at that one later. But if you have any invitations, they'll be here right at the top of the page. Over here, this first tab is the your actual connections. And so you can go over here and see everyone that is in your connections. You can scroll through, or you can search by name. You can also sort either by most recently added or by first name or by last name. So there's several ways to find people and deal with people in your network. And from here, the things you would typically do is to message somebody. So if you want to send that person a message, you can do it from here. Or if you want to take them out of your network, you accepted somebody and it turns out they're just trying to sell you life insurance and you're not interested in life insurance and they keep bothering you, you can remove them from your network from there. I'll go back up to the My Networks tab again. There's some other things over here. You've got people that you follow. And we talk about this in the profile class, but you can follow people that are not in your network, and they're typically people like Bill Gates. They're what LinkedIn calls influencers. They're people with, I forget how many you have to have, like 10,000 people in your network, but they're thought leaders. And so that's what this tab is people that you're following, but they're not in your network and probably wouldn't accept your invitation if you ask them to be in your network. That's what the difference between your connections and people you follow. You can follow people that aren't in your network. Groups is fairly important. This is a way to find people to add to your network. So you can join different groups. I belong to two different groups, the teacher training and education group and the psychology network. So I do have a degree in psychology. But especially if you're just getting started, or maybe you're starting a job hunt, so you want to boost the size of your network, a good way to find people that would probably be good people to add to your network is to join relevant groups. So you can click search down here. And it will bring up groups. And what it does, it looks at your profile and finds groups that it thinks would be relevant for you based on your profile. So this is usually a pretty good group, and you can see there are a lot of them here. But if you want to just go ahead and search yourself, you can search up here. So if I'm a trainer, so let's say I'm looking for training related groups, I can type the word training, and then I can go down here where it says training in groups. So I want to search for groups that have something to do with training. And that will now bring me back to this list, which are all somehow related to training. Some of these may be organizations you'll recognize, some of them may be not. It takes a little time to look at. One of the things to look at is probably how many members they have. Some are public, and anybody that asks to join, they'll let join. Those are usually the ones with hundreds of thousands of members. Some of them are private, and you have to request to join, and they actually look at your profile. They may ask you some questions before they'll allow you to join. Those typically have fewer members. But that's a good way to define groups. Once you're into that group, let me go back to my groups. It has like a little mini news feed here. So it's posts just from people in that group. But you can look at that, and if there's some people that are doing things that sound relevant or related to what you're doing, you could ask them to join your network. And you can see here, Sue is not in my network. She's a second. It means she's in the network of somebody in my network, but she's not a first in my network. But if I want to add her, I could just click connect. It'll send her a request via LinkedIn to join my network. Questions about how that works? Any questions about the groups? Another way you can find people that you may want to invite to be part of your network is through hashtags. You probably are at least familiar with the term hashtags. Most of the social networking sites now have hashtags, Facebook, Instagram. It originated with Twitter. But most of them have. It's LinkedIn hasn't been using hashtags very long, but it serves the same purpose as hashtags do other places. It's a way to pull content together around some topic. And so, for example, these are hashtags that I follow. I'm following 5 different hashtags: remote teaching, educators, aging well, higher education, and work from home. And you can tell down here how many other people are following that hashtag, how popular it is. So there's 92.6 thousand people following hashtag educators, only 251 people following aging well. But if I want to click into that hashtag, it'll bring me to that hashtag. And then it's sort of like it was with the groups. Below are all the posts that have been made that include that hashtag aging well. And so you can scroll down through there again to look for people that are doing things similar to what you're doing or that are leaders in your area. And so if I'm interested, I think that I really like Janet's post, and I think she'd be a good person to add to my network. I can just click here and ask to join her network, which puts us into the same network. Okay. Let's see. Now, the last way to one other way to find people is if you just scroll down through the section over here, it will eventually get to people you may know and how you may know them. This is very much like in Facebook, where it says people you may want to be friends with and why. So, but again, another way to find people, they'll show you people that work in your current company or work in former companies you've worked in. That's always a good source of people to add to your network because they know you, they have some common background. So this is another good place to go down and see. Now, these people didn't work the same place I worked, but it says just based on your profile, they seem to have a lot in common with you. So you might want to connect with them. So there's the other way to actually find people. And of course, the last way is just people that you know, people that you've worked with, people you've worked for, people you think could help you. You can just go and search for them as a person. Let's see. We'll just put So if you just put anyone's name and it will bring up those people. Now, it's like finding somebody in Facebook. Sometimes there's a problem because there may be lots of people with the same name. So it'll tell you where they work, which may give you a tip as to whether that's the person you're looking for. If you worked at Hewlett Packard and together with Bob, and Bob is at Hewlett Packard, that's probably who it is, but you can always click into it. It'll take you to Bob's profile, and Bob should have a picture. He doesn't, where you can find out if that's the person you think it is. And if it is, you can invite him to be in your network just by connecting. Questions about building a network? Okay, let's move on then to searching.
I have a question.
Sure. Mhm.
Okay, I thought about it, and this kind of necessity or wish to expand business contact, etc., existed in my youth as well, but it expressed in a quite different way. In my time, joined in the professional clubs, went to cocktail party, this and that, and so forth, more or less face to face, and it appears to be much more easier for one to expand numerically the special contact. But I have two kind of psychological and pragmatic obstacles. I'm always faced with my hesitancy in, why should younger people want to be asked to take me in as a part of this business network? What would be the usefulness of bringing in once retired or semi-retired people into that? And younger people are much more crude and cautious, because in my youth, let's say when I was like 40 or 50, and I had more experience than, let's say, 20, fresh out of business school type of young chaps, they're very eager to connect with me because I already had some contact, more workable and tested and proven contact. They really sought after this. But I find myself at my age, I don't know what I can offer to those, what would entice them to include me. I could ask everybody from A to Z and asking them to take me in as a part of the network, but I kind of be hesitant of potential rejection. And at my age, I find it rejection, especially professional rejection, very hard. And I am in a business which is kind of word of mouth, and I've been building up on what I have done in my youth quite successfully at a much smaller scale. And I like to have obviously professional stimulus and all those channels and network, etc. But I always face myself with this resistance to kind of reach out to all those people in the Facebooks, etc. I realize this is my personal problem, but then I suspect quite a few of my contemporaries might feel that way from time to time. And my question is how I could overcome. Okay, mechanically I can do. I open a computer and then send out everybody, invite me, I join you, etc. But I find it kind of wasting of time, knowing that maybe 5% might say, okay, join it. Maybe 90%, 5% would probably be a reject. And another issue I'm very going up against now is politically, everybody is accusing everybody for discrimination or one way or the other. And if I were in a position, I'm a member of Facebook, so I happen to reject somebody, and this rejection displeased person could turn around and accuse me. I'm not necessarily talking about legal action against me, but for anything, because especially in New York City, people are accusing for anything and everything, not necessarily black and white or white and yellow and whatever the case may be. And I began to be hesitant. At my age, I kind of like to maintain kind of peaceful, status quo. I kind of became a very passive person, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, several good points in there. There's a couple of reasons, and one reason is why I said earlier that I I accept almost every invitation to join someone's network or have them be part of my network, to be in the same
Right.
network. And one of the reasons is, even if I'm not at all interested in that person, because of that level, first, second, third level networking, when I join their network, I've now got all of their, everyone in their network is now part of my second degree network, and everyone in their networks are in the third degree network. So it brings in a lot of more people to my network. And we'll talk about this a little later in the class when we get into the job hunting. Having people in your network can really help you when you're job hunting. So, and that's why on the flip side, I find that probably 80% of the people that I ask to join their network agree, just because even though they may not care about me, they want my network members, which is another reason to have a fairly large network. If you've got 500 people in your network and somebody sees that, I've got 593 people in my network. So if somebody joins my network, they now have access to those 593 people.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons to add people to your network and agree to let people into your network, just to expand your network.
Okay.
Now, the other reason, if you are posting, that's lots of times where people will find you. It's a reason to be active on LinkedIn. If you're posting things and people like something you've posted, then they may want to be in the same network together because they like things you're having to say. So in that case, it would be something related to you.
Right.
I think more often than not, people are just thinking about expanding their networks. So
Okay.
there are still some people that will refuse a network request, but compared to Facebook, which is a whole different scenario, the acceptance rate is extremely high, and people don't seem to get as emotionally involved. Again, it's business as opposed to being personally affronted by someone not accepting their request. It's my experience. I don't know if anybody else has had any different experiences.
Probably may by listening to your response to my inquiries, I suddenly it hit me that probably I am not that passionate or desperate or eager about finding a new employment or expanding business, etc. at this stage in my, so probably they obviously exist in myself. But at the same time, I do not consider that I have to be as passionate about before when I was supporting kids and all that. I seem to have a choice of work 120% of a day or 10%. So my seriousness and the kind of desperation and urgency could have been diluted as I aged, maybe. Thank you for making me analyze the situation.
Sure. Now, one other comment there around kind of what you're saying is that the other reason to be on LinkedIn, I mean, most people go to LinkedIn when they're job hunting, and when they're not job hunting, they tend to ignore LinkedIn. But especially now that we're not doing conferences, conventions, used to be we would go to a conference to find out what's going on in your area and to meet with people that you know and firm up those personal contacts. You can do that through LinkedIn via this your feed here, so you can get information from organizations that you belong to or that are in your area, and get business information from your friends if they're posting in here. So it is almost like a virtual conference.
Conferences, I see.
You're seeing something. Maybe somebody will post something that you haven't seen in a while that maybe you worked with 10 years ago. It's a good way to link into that person. So this is somebody I grew up with in my hometown, but I can say, oh gosh, Kathy, I haven't talked to Kathy in years, and I wonder what she's doing with her business. I see she's teaching at Memphis State, so I could send her a message and kind of renew that business connection as well as a personal connection. Again, LinkedIn is focused more around business than personal, but you can do either. So that's kind of the networking side, where it's taken the place of going to conferences and conventions, but keeping track of people that you've done business with in the past and maybe you need to do business with again, or just that you like as a person, you want to just see what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to job searching here. That's the next big part of the class. So it's really building the network, and but it's going to carry over. I'll eventually tie the two together and show you how having a big network can help you with your job hunt. But let's first just go to the jobs. And actually, I'm going to start even before I go into the jobs tab. LinkedIn has a very strong, powerful search engine. So let's start here. So I'm looking for a job as a trainer. So I can put trainer in the search. And as before, we did this and I looked for groups that have to do with training, or I could go and look if I'm going to build my network. I may want to go see people that are trainers that maybe I want to invite to be part of my network. I can also look for trainer jobs. So in this case, I'm going to look for trainer in jobs. And this brings me here. And so these are all the currently posted jobs that have to do with training in some way or another. Most of them are instructors. It could be at a university. It could be at a company. So this is a good start. And you can kind of look at these and let me find, I just saw one here. Well, this one, 2 people that went to my same college work here. So it starts to show you some connections you may have here. So I have a connection that works here. So in this case, having that network, having connections that work in that company are helpful. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So this is good, but here's the problem. It found 73,969 jobs. I'm not going to look at 73,969 jobs. So I need to filter that down. And it lets you do that over here with all filters is where I normally go. And I can start to filter this down to a more manageable group. And so first you can say, when was it posted? At any time, but maybe I only want to look at fairly recent things. So I only want to look at stuff that's been posted in the last month, maybe. And you can say, what level of position do I think I would be looking for? And maybe I'm looking for a mid-senior level position. If there's a company or several companies that you're specifically interested in, you could pick those companies. If I don't really care at this point which company, I can skip that. Same thing, I can say, what do I want to do? Part-time, full-time, part-time, contract work, volunteer. I'm looking for full-time work. And maybe location is important. And I want to work well, let's find, I'll work in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where my brother lives. May I want to move down to where my brother is. And I don't know if you were watching, let me take this out. Down here in the bottom right, it tells me how many jobs it currently are showing up in my filter. So I've gone from 73,000 down to 2,000. When I say I want to work in Atlanta, it's now got me down to 27 jobs. I can search 27 jobs. So I say, okay, show me those 27.
Excuse me, Wade, I noticed the locations are really limited.
I think you can go beyond that. Let me go back into. Maybe not. Because you can take the location out and then you get a lot more. So, and you can pick more than one location if you want to, if you're okay working in Chicago or Atlanta, but yeah, it looks like they do have a fairly limited number of locations. So that may not be a good filter if you don't really want to be in one of these or some group of these. You're probably going to have to just filter it without that in there and come up with something else to help get it down to a manageable number. Yes.
What about remote? I see remote at the top. What if you want to work from home?
Yep, you can do that. So instead of picking a city, you can say I want to, and it's in the filters as well.
That's what I was gonna ask.
And
There it is right there. You just passed it.
I just passed it. I know.
Go back up.
Oh, there it is right there, remote. So if
There
you
you
want to
go.
work from home, which a lot
Yeah,
of
let's-
people do, that brought me down to 150.
Okay.
So again, that's probably a good thing to look at. So that's, again, what you're trying to do is get this down to some manageable number by setting. Now, again, industry is another way you can filter it down. I want to work in the hospital and healthcare industry. That's where I worked before. That gets me down to 9 results. Let me just go there and look at those 9. So I click there and it shows me now those 9 jobs. I can go in and look at any of these. So that's what working with Cygnus. So if I want to look in that job, I can click on it and it brings up the job over here. And I can go through and look at the job where it gives me the job summary, the functions, what you typically expect to see in a job posting announcement. If I want to apply for that job, I can do it from LinkedIn. And what LinkedIn will do in most cases, it will pull information from your profile, which is why you need to have a good profile, and actually fill out the job application form for you by loading in the information you've already got in your profile. So you don't have to sit in there and retype where you went to school, where you worked before. It pulls it from your profile, which is a great thing about applying for jobs via LinkedIn. Maybe I don't want to apply yet, but I'm curious. So I want to hang on to that one so I can save it. And it'll go to my saved jobs. I may want to go through and look at a couple more. Maybe this one looks interesting. Look at that one. I'll save that one. So you can kind of start building up your saved list. Questions about searching here. And you can kind of play with these filters, but it's, that's how you can really find jobs you're looking for. If you have done that and that didn't really work out, you can either expand or contract on your, maybe I'm going to look at in the past 24 anytime. That's going to pop it up to 12 results. So by changing your filters, you can get more or fewer jobs. Questions? Okay. All right, so I've done some work. I've got some jobs. Now I'm going to go back up here to my jobs tab. And it's like a little lunchbox, or I don't know what that is, a briefcase. And this takes me into my jobs tab. And so here's those the jobs that I've looked at. Well, at first it has some recommended jobs for me. So it's going to tell me some more jobs that it thinks I might be interested in based on my profile and my search history. So that's another place to go and look for jobs. I can look at my jobs and it'll show me the ones that I've saved. So here's my saved jobs. I have one that was in here from a previous class that I've taught, but so I can go in and look, and I could, may have gotten some more information and I've decided I want to apply for this one. I can click into it and apply now from here. Maybe I'm still searching. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I can set an alert for similar jobs. So if I set that alert, what will happen if another job that comes in that's similar to this one, it will send me an alert to say, hey, there's a new job that just popped up. So you can be one of the first people that applies to it. So that's another thing that it'll let you do. These are the notifications up here. So it would put a notification in here that there's a new job I may want to take a look at. Okay. Questions so far? Looking at my cheat sheet here. Now, the other ways you can do job searching is if you want to, if maybe there's a company that you are interested in working for, I can go back to the search. I'm going to put Allscripts. That's a company I used to work for. So I can go in and select Allscripts. And so from here, I can follow that company. I can actually go to their page and find out more about them. So it'll tell me information about them here. I can see posts that they've made. So if I'm really researching the company to see if this is something a place I really want to work, I can follow them. So I'll get updates that they're posting. I can go visit their website, et cetera. So that's a way how you can kind of do some research around that company. Let me go back to all scripts. Under the people section here, it shows me people that are in my network that work for that company. This is kind of getting back to why it's good to have a big network because I see, oh, there's Diane Rao. I know Diane, she's now working at Allscripts. I can message Diane and say, hey, I see you're working at Allscripts. I'm thinking about applying for a job there. Here's the job I'm interested in. Do you know anything about it? Is it a good position? Who's the hiring manager there? So it's a good way to get inside information about the job. So this is kind of where we mentioned you can use your network to help you figure out if that's a job you want to be involved with. And it actually has other people that are in my network that also work there or are related there. This is a first level connection. She's actually in my network. This is a second level connection. I don't know Dennis. He's in the network of one of my first levels. But again, there's a connection here. I could connect with him and into my network, and then I would be able to message him. I can say see all people results, and it'll give me everybody. This gets down into your different levels. So if I want to filter just for the first level connections, these are people that are in my network, so I can message them. Here are other people that I know that are in my network that either currently work at Allscripts or have worked at Allscripts. Now, the other thing you can do is that, let's say, so I've talked to Diane or I talked to Scott and get some information and they say, yeah, it's a great job. I know the manager of that group and he's a good guy. His name is Bob Teat. And so maybe I apply for the job and I've got an interview now with Bob Teat, but I want to get a little inside information about Bob Teat. So I can search for Bob. And there's Bob right there. So I can click on his name and go to his profile and find out information about him. I can see about him, where he went to school, where he's worked. Try to find things in common. Say, oh, wow, he went to Penn State University. I went to Penn State University. That's something I can talk about in the interview. So an interview is an icebreaker. You can say, hey, I saw from LinkedIn, you go to Penn State. I do too. So it's a way to get some information about the person. Sometimes when you're going in for an interview, you kind of feel like they know everything about you. You know nothing about them. This is a way to get a little information about them as well, so that you know about the person you're going to be sitting and talking with, what their skills are, their interests. Again, you may find some common interests there, whatever. Questions? Okay. So that's how to build a network, how to search for jobs and manage your jobs, and then kind of how to loop back around and how to use this network. So you can hopefully kind of see the bigger this network is, the more people that will be working in one of the jobs you're looking at, that you can now use your network to one, see, is this a good job? Do you like working there? Is this, and they may say, yeah, no, you don't want to work for that group. They're, there's lots of unhappiness over there, or the manager's a real jerk. So you can get a lot of inside information about a job by working your network. And the bigger your network is, the more people you got to help you review the jobs, find a good one, and then help you get that job. I mean, they may even say, oh yeah, I know Bob Teat. I'm going to see him. I'm having lunch with him tomorrow. I'll put in a good word for you. Lots of ways you can work that. All right, we got time for just a couple of general questions. Anything about LinkedIn, whether it was what we covered today in class or not?
Entrepreneurship.
Uh-huh.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about was entrepreneurship. I needed to know, is this a very good site for that?
Um, well, with LinkedIn, it kind of depends on what you mean by that. If you're trying to learn more about how to be an entrepreneur, uh, you could go to LinkedIn to find other entrepreneurs, and you can see what they're posting. This is where the homepage where information here. I'm sure that there's groups, and I can never spell entrepreneur.
EN.
TRE. Up there it is. So if you go to groups, there's going to be lots of groups around entrepreneurs, Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur Network, Entrepreneur and Small Business Forum. So this is 57,000 people that are all small business entrepreneurs. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, you can go to this group and request to join. And it'll tell you about the group a little bit. And if you join the group and they accept you, then when you come back here, you can see posts just by people in this group. You can ask those people to join your network and then start, networking with them. Hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? Do you know anybody that could help me with this? That's kind of how you would use LinkedIn for something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So that's where I would start. I would find a couple of groups and go join those groups and then start getting information from them, ask them, where can I get more information? If there's a particular area you're interested in, hey, I'm really wanting to be an entrepreneur in this area. What other group should I join, or what magazine should I be reading, or who should I be talking to?
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Other questions? Okay. All right. So we are at the 10-minute mark. So it's about time for me to go back to and wrap things up if there's no questions here. And let me get this down so I can get back to my slides. There we go. So that's the end of the class itself, and hopefully you enjoyed the class and you learned some ways to use LinkedIn to help build your network and search for jobs and hopefully find the right job. If you're using social media to share your experiences, please tag us in your posts. And if you would like some help, if you want to share your experiences, but you don't do Facebook and Instagram, you can email Liz at getsetup.io. She's our marketing director, and she will post it on one of our social media sites or on our website for you. So let's go to the closing slides. After class, you will get an email, and that email will have several sections to it. The first section is the class notes, and there'll be some takeaways in there, as well as links to some other websites with information about LinkedIn and how to use LinkedIn. So some of it reviews what we talked about in class. Some of it is some new information. I'll also put a link in here to the first class, the LinkedIn to build your profile. So if you want to take that class as well, I'll have that link in the notes. You can recommend the class to a friend. You can do that by posting it on Facebook or sending a link via email, whichever you're more comfortable doing. There will have 3 classes here in the email that you may be interested in. If you are, just click on the class name and it'll take you to the registration page for that class. Click the Give Feedback link. It will open our feedback form. Only 2 questions, very quick and easy. Rate the class 1 to 5 stars, rate the guide 1 to 5 stars. You can add comments as to why you're giving that rating, which we certainly appreciate your comments. If you're enjoying being part of the Get Set Up community and want to get more involved, there's several things you can do. We're always looking to start up new interest groups where you can get together with other learners around some topic on a regular basis. Using LinkedIn or even job hunting would be a nice interest group. So if you're interested in hosting a group like that or being a part of a group like that, just let us know what group you'd like to set up and we'll help you do that as part. If there's a class you want us to offer, or if there's maybe an organization you belong to that you think would be a good partner for us, or if you want to get a copy of the recording of this class, any of that, help it get set up. In fact, any question, comment, complaint you have about Get Set Up, Help It Get Set Up is the place to send it. It will get routed to the right person. You don't have to figure out who to contact. The last link in the email is View Schedule, which takes you back to our website where you can sign up for another class. A couple of things I want to show you that make sure that you have found that have been fairly recent additions to our website. Right in the center of the screen on the home page is a link to your schedule. If you click that, it will take you to the classes you've booked already. When it's time to start the class, you can just click here and launch into the class. You don't have to keep the emails and launch from the email. If this is easier, a lot of people find it easier. If you have a conflict come up and you're not going to be able to attend the class, you can cancel it from here, free up that seat for someone else. If you know what you're looking for, I think the quickest and easiest way to find it is just to search in the search bar up here by keyword. So if you want to see what else we may have around LinkedIn, you can just type LinkedIn here. Here's that class I've been talking about. This is creating a great LinkedIn profile. That's the other part of that, this two-part series. There's also a, okay, those are the main ones here. So you can click into that class and book that class. It's going to be May 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern time if you're interested in that class. If you want to book the class, you can just click book. There's one thing we've added to the booking process recently. In addition to adding it to your calendar, you can invite a friend. So maybe there's somebody you think that would like this class, and so you can invite them so that you're both will be in the same class. You can talk about it after class. Just click invite, put their email here and click send to send them an email link to that class. Let them know you're going to be attending the class. You thought they might want to come to the same one you're going to be in. You can copy a link and send that out by email. You can post it in Facebook, however you want to provide that information. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is if there's a guide or maybe several guides and you like their classes, if you want to see what they're going to be teaching for the next 2 weeks, you could just put their name up here instead of the name of the class, put the name of the guide and search, and it will show you the classes they're going to be teaching. It's in chronological order, going forward for 2 weeks, which is our scheduling window pretty much, and see what they're going to be teaching. If you see something that looks interesting, this is a new class. We're just going to get together and talk about Alexa smart homes and TVs. You can book that class. Questions about booking classes or using our website? Yeah, Haruko?
I just wanted to say something. I used to work for this international management consulting firm called A.T. Kearney. I was a director there, and even to this day, I get a questionnaire inquiry from LinkedIn, I guess. Please write out about your experience at A.T. Kearney. And I take it very seriously because if somebody is thinking about joining A.T. Kearney, my experience will be a great help. At the same time, this will put myself in a, so to speak, market. And I write very objectively what I did and what was a kind of special aspect of their business I was very excited about. I don't talk about negative, but positive and about cross-national management, consulting, human resources, and all that stuff. So I repeatedly do it. I get this inquiry from LinkedIn. Every so often it pops up while I'm looking at something else. And I responded accordingly.
Okay. I think that's, yeah, that's nice to do. You're probably getting more than because you are responding to those requests. You don't have to respond.
Right.
I don't know if you can do it anonymously or if you have to put what your name is, but I think
I left the company for the competitors. I have no grievance. We left it very amicably, and because I left amicably, we kind of gave business to each other between those two competing companies. So I don't want to create enemies at my age, and I don't, I'm not very aggressive type. So this suit me okay. That's my networking, sort of.
Yeah, I think that's probably not that's probably a good idea, is to, be honest and truthful and talk about the good things about the company, as opposed to negative things, which may cause problems. So I think that's a good thing to do, is comment on the things that are good aspects of the company. Yeah. And of course, you don't have to respond, but that's something that's nice to do if you are have time and are willing to do that. All right. Any last comments or questions from anyone else? Okay, if not, I'm going to wrap up and you've got 2 minutes to get a cup of coffee before your next class starts. I want to, thank you for coming to the class. Hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I see you again in another class really soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Very
you.
informative.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye now.